All right, so cool. So what we did, right, was inside of our application, nope, that's all the other code. In the users, it's happening already. Yes, yes. Thank you. That's Wednesdays, my dudes. It's Wednesday. We went over all of these methods inside of our user model, and then we commented it all out and put has secure password. The important thing to note is the reason, again, I have password digest inside my schema, right, for user right here, is because this isn't actually the regular password. It's the hashified password, and it's digested by bcrypt to give you some sort of hashified string that I can safely store into my database. And so in my users, right, model user, right, I wrote the password method, which essentially just returns like this password empty attribute, and then I can overwrite it with the password method that actually appends the data to password digest. So what can we do with that? We can then utilize an authenticate method that we built, taking in the user's plain text password and comparing it to the password digest, but we must use bcrypt with password.new in order to compare it properly. Because remember, this is going to return the bcrypt object, so this is no longer the standard comparison operator. Right? Make sense? And all this is done with has secure password. Has secure password, if you want to look inside the gem file, is we have bcrypt here, right, which is normally by default commented out. In order to use has secure password, the column must be named password digest. Right? That is like the convention for has secure password. So I didn't like just make it up. Right? And it's important that we have that, again, because in the form, right, we're using like this password field. So I'm calling the password method. And then I'm going to overwrite the regular password method with the bcrypt password into password digest for the user column. You remember that? All right, cool. So now what we're trying to do is we're actually trying to create this login for my user. Right? Okay, so the first thing we should do is, before we can log in, let's create a new user. Cool? So hopefully, we'll go to Flavortown. One last time. One last call for... All right, cool. So, who do we have? Flavortown. The reason, like, who can tell me why this is, like, not actually secure right now? Right, it's the HTML, right? What about the HTML? That's exactly right. So in my users new, right, which is rendering form, instead of text field for password, I would have like password field. Yeah? So then if I refresh, it comes up as like the password, right? Cool. But in order for me to kind of show you what I'm seeing and what I'm typing and everything, I'm going to change it back to text field. Cool? Please do not use text field in your production application, right? You have someone looking over your shoulder. You're like, I work for Flatiron. Here's my password. Like, I don't know, Flatiron. Oh, snap, I didn't refresh. Right? Like, Flatiron is the BE $T, right? Something like that. I don't know. This is not the password, and if it is, shame on them, right? So it's not probably. I don't know. Cool. Just so you can see it, right? So let's do this. What route am I going to hit with this create user? Is it though? When I submit this form, am I going to do a GET request? Correct. All right. It's a post to users, right? So when I post to users, what am I actually hitting? What controller action am I hitting? I'm hitting create, right? So the idea here is that there is like a new and a create that kind of get bundled together because I have to show some sort of form and then I have to show some sort of like I'm sorry, it needs to be like a post to some sort of other controller that's going to be doing all of the things I need it to do in the back end, right? So this is like the get, and then this is like the post. So far, so good? If I need to log in then, right, what should I be doing? If I need to log in, do I need to just make one route? Think about it. When I log in, what should I see? What's the first thing I see when I try to log in? The login form, right? And then when I submit that login form, I should hit what? I should hit like a post to some sort of create action, right? So I need the new and the create. When I log in, that's the login form. And then when I submit the login, that's going to create something, right? It's going to create this like logged in thing for me, right? Like now I'm logged in, right? So taking the liberties to do something like that for you. And where would I want this login logic? Do I want it in the user's controller? No, right? So what I want is when I hit the login, I see the form, right? And then it posts, right? And it hits a create method. What does it really create for me? What have we talked about yesterday, right? Where some very important character from Sesame Street came by and taught you about something about being able to persist state from request to request. What was that? It was session, right? So if I'm going to be doing a login and I need that login persisted throughout my entire application, I want that logic handled in where? In a sessions controller, right? I was kind of leading you to application controller in the same way that like we lifted all the logic into application, but should all the other controllers know about this login logic? No. So does it make sense to put the login logic inside this application controller? No. So it must need its own controller, right? And because we're dealing with sessions, let's just call it the sessions controller, right? That's kind of how that came to be, right? In this like story. So good? So far so good, rather? I'm tired. Yeah, so good, right? So I made a sessions controller for you, and I probably should have gotten rid of this. Sure. Do you want it? Do you want me to just recreate it for you? That's what I should be doing, right? So I talked about the two important things that should be in here, right? What two actions should be in here? New, right? And create. Oops. Okay, what is new here? Right? I should just show the sign-in form. Does anything need to be in here, really? All right, do I need to be like @user equals user.new? No, right? Because I'm not dealing with anything right now. So I'm just going to render new, right? Or new, however you want to see it. Or if you really want to get crazy, nothing. Right? Let's get wild for no reason. Cool? So that must mean, what do I need now in here? A new view, right? Ah, damn it. I deleted it. It's fine. This is new. Let's just make it. So sessions. And in here is going to be a file called new.erb. So far, so good? Right? And what is this exactly? What's going to be called? It's probably similar to this, right? So I'm going to just rip it. I don't actually... Just get rid of this for now. Throw a little h1 tag in there and just put sign in, right? Is this like a form 4? All right. Do I have a user in here at all? No. Do I need a form, though? I need some sort of form. All right. Is it form 4? Do I have a user object? Did I give myself a user object in the new? No. Can it possibly be attached to like a user object? I mean, think about it, right? I'm logging in. Am I trying to like create something for the user? Not really. So, should it be form 4? All right. There's another Rails helper method that builds forms for me. God, it's too powerful. It's too powerful. So all I did was put form 4 and then I press tab. Okay, let's just pretend I asked you like a lot of smart questions and like, you know, we were able to get there, right? Cool. Cool. We don't need class, right? Which, by the way, does what? It adds a class. It does HTML stuff. Very good. It adds a class to this form, right? And as we just learned from the great and powerful Zach, it's amazing for CSS, right? So let's not add any class for right now because first make it work. Okay? Just talking to myself. Yeah. Sure. Then make it pretty. Very good. Yeah. Cool, right? We'll just do a little label for, right? Okay, just kidding. Like a label tag, and this will be like username, something like that, right? And what is this text field? Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, you don't know what this looks like right now, so we'll just do this. What's the first thing in label? A text field? Right? It's just like the username, right? So I'm just building this form, and it's asking for a username. And then what else should it be asking for? Again, I'm just going to use text field so you could see what I'm writing, but I should be putting password, right? Password tag. Cool. What else? I probably need to be able to somehow, some way, submit this tag, right? And this is like a login. Cool? Now, here's the thing. We have a sessions controller with a new, and just for funsies, I'll drop the by bug here. Let's think about this. Where should this go? What route should I see? All right? So here's what I'm thinking, right? Remember this, right? The URL of what's going on. What's kind of, in your mind, the best experience about what the name this route should be when I'm trying to log in? What do I want to see up here? Login, right? Is there any way I can maybe make this route? Cool. What's that? Oh man, I should have got rid of it. It's fine. It's okay. We'll work it, right? We'll work it. So I'm doing a get to /login, right? And it's going to go to my sessions controller, which I just built. And it's going to hit new. Does that make sense? So when I go to users, localhost users 3000, localhost 3000 /login, I want to see what? I want to see this, the page that I just built, right? The page that I just built was under what? Sessions new. So in order to get to sessions new in my sessions controller, okay, that didn't work out. Fail, fail, fail. In order to get to sessions new, when I hit login, I'm going to hit sessions new. All right? I'm going to build this helper method as login. Cool? So that must mean that in my form, my new ERB, I can do probably something like /login. That's the path I'm going to. But I have a helper method here. right? So what can I call this instead? Yeah? I could. But you're week 3 mod 2, you know what I'm saying? It's baby stuff. But yeah, I mean, I would check that, right? So this login path is coming from login, which is basically a get to /login, hitting my sessions controller, hitting the new action, all right? What method should this do? What does a method for the form do? Post. Cool. What's the default method for form? Do I have to put it in if it's post? Right? Cool. Let's just, so far, let's see if this code even works. Cool. I need to go to /login. I should see over here, sign in. And profile photo should be gone. Boom. Cool? So, I just created a user, right? What's like a user? Why is all these like weird things coming up? Huh? What's like a user? What? Flavor Flav? Do we make Flavor Flav? I think I made Flavor and Town or something. But sure, let's just do something like Flavor Flav. And what's his password? Yeah, boy! Right? So what happens when I click login? According to my path, post to /login is going to do what for me? Okay, great. We're going to move a lot faster because I could see that you all very much understand this, right? We're going to hit session create, which is in my session controller, hitting this create, hitting the buy bug. So I hit login, we'll test the buy bug. What do I have here? For my params, I have my username and my password clock, right? What else do I have in here that I would need, right? Do I have session? I have session hash, right? So I can always just do user.find by because I have the username, right? And the nice thing about find by is I can pass in different attributes. We checked the params earlier and we saw that we have access to something called username. Now, okay, just kidding. We don't have that user, right? We never made that person. So let's go back and make Flavor Flav. User/new. Okay, just kidding. Users/new. All right, we have Flavor Flav. I'm gonna copy that because I don't like typing it. This password is clock. I'm gonna create this user. Oh my god, what a G. All right, now I want to be able to log in. Cool. Flavor Flav, password clock. Now we get to log in. So we hit the buy bug again. I can then run this command and find my username. I remember that I can easily store you into user.find. I can then call you, get the object. I remember also in my model, I have a method called authenticate. I can call authenticate, and what should I see in return if it's true? Right? Well, remember, authenticate takes what? If we look back at the model, right? It takes a plain text password. Sweet. So what is my plain text password? It's the params at a key of password because that's what I gave it. And what I get back, if it's true, is the object. So if that's the case, right, just to make sure, if I pass in some nonsense into this string, I get false. So in fact, my method is working. I need to double check it, right? So here we go. Now, after I've authenticated, I return the object. And is this the speed you want me to lecture you at? For now? Okay. That being said, unless you tell me otherwise, unless you slow me down, that's where we're going to go. Is that cool? All right. Nice. Wish you told me this like a week ago. You've been like moving like a champ. Cool. Right? an important concept that I want you to know is, what is the opposite of something that is true, right? If I were to do bang true, what do I get? False, cool. What if I did bang false? What do I get? Can I prepend bang onto anything? Can I prepend bang onto a bang of false? What do I get? What's the opposite of false? So what's the opposite of true? Cool. So what is the opposite of the opposite? Rather, what is the opposite of the user? If the user exists, what is the opposite of user? False. What is the opposite of user? So, in a way, if I double bang something, I can always ask for its Boolean value, right? So if I had nil, I banged nil. Okay. Good thing nil's not a name. So you banged it. I could do this with nil, and I will get false, right? So I can coerce any value I want into its equivalent Boolean value, right? Cool? So far, so good? I can do that, yeah. Hold on. Oh, man. Cool. All right. God, you guys are out of control, right? So, okay, great. Thanks. Now, in my create, what do we learn? We can do @user equals to user.find by the params that were passed in of a key of username. Cool? First thing we want to do is if the user, right, .authenticate, passing in the params of the password that we received, what can we then do? Right? Meaning, on line 11, the user is authenticated. Now we need to be able to persist this user somewhere. We can create a session with a key of user ID is equal to @user.id, right? Because remember, I'm finding the user, authenticating, and then that's good. Otherwise, what I want to do is what? Exactly. I want to be like, hey, just kidding, you're dope. Do I want to be very explicit? Do I want to say like, hey, username's good, but your password is off by 1 character? Or do I want to say like, hey, you're really close, just maybe try capitalizing? Do I want to give a hint at all? I want to be as vague and as generic as possible. So I say something like, username or password is invalid, right? Because we want to be generic about this. I don't want to like hint at a hacker and just like, hey, good job with that username, password's really close, try again, right? No, it's like, hey, wrong dog, sorry, right? Cool. And then what do I want to do? Probably redirect to the login path because I want them to try logging in again. Here I want to redirect to, right, the user show page. All right, congratulations, you signed in, user show page. Cool? So let's see if that works. I need to go back into my bybug and just continue in general. Right? Nothing so far. But let's go right back to login. I can hit, nope, that wasn't it. Flavor Flav, password clock, and I should go right back to Flavor. Oh, sorry. It should be username. Cool. One more time. One more time. Here we go. Clock it up. And now I'm on Flavor Flav's profile page, right? Cool. What else can I do? Can I then just be like, great, Flavor Flav's logged in. User 22. Interesting. User 21. Interesting. User 20. Interesting. Oh, loser. We built this last time, right? All right. Now we want to deal with something like authorization, right? We talked about authenticate. I have that user login set up. The login is working. I have a session ID. If I look in my session, in all these requests, my user ID will persist, and it will be 1 right now at the moment. Does that do anything for me right now, aside from the fact that I now have this session with the key of user ID? No. I want to be able to somehow know who is logged in, right? Who needs to know about this information? Which controller needs to know which user is logged in? At maybe just the user show page? Who thinks it's some specific controllers, or who thinks all controllers need to know who's logged in order to authorize them access to things? Roger? All right. So where would I want to put that? Where would I want to put this logic? Cool. Great. I should. Okay. So this is we're just gonna roll with it. Ready? I need to make a method called current user, right? To check to see who's actually logged in, because you notice that when I went to the other URLs, right? How can I like verify like who's logged in? Once I went to that show page and I went to other pages, I can very easily forget like, oh snap, am I logged in as 21 or 19? I don't know. There's no way to identify who the current user that's logged in. Right? So I need a method that checks the current user. And all that's going to do is @user will now be the user.findBy the session ID. Right? Because the session persists every single request. Does that make sense? So if that's the case, I also want to check if to see if they're logged in. Ooh, and that's not going to work. And the way I could do that is I could take the current user and I can coerce that user into a Boolean. In the same way that we learned just now in the IRB, that if I put 2 exclamation marks before something, I can tell whether or not that thing existed. So if it was an object that existed and I opposited it comes out as false. Because there's a truthy value to things that exist, right? And then if I opposite the opposite, it will return true if it did exist, right? So I can tell whether or not someone is logged in if a current user exists, right? Hey, does current user exist? Yes, that means somebody is logged in, right? If no current user exists, that means nobody's logged in. Some pretty simple logic there, right? Mega bless. Yeah. Now, the last thing we want to do is we want to now authorize certain actions only for the current user, right? So what we can do is, with just a little bit of magic logic, we can do a method called authorize, and what it will do is it will redirect to the login path unless you are logged in. This is some pretty simple logic, right? Like, do I want just anybody looking at all the different parts of my app unless they're logged in, right? Like once you go to Facebook, right? Can you see other people's posts? No, you have to log in first. You can't see anything unless you log in, right? Whereas like maybe Instagram, you can see like some people who are public, and you can only see certain private ones if you're following them, if you're logged in, right? That's authorization. I want to keep this method as generic as possible and then add in more specifics later. So right now, for me, I want to lock down the app. I want to be Facebook face style. It's like unless you're logged in, you can't see anything. Matter of fact, even if you try hard coding a URL, I'm going to redirect you back to the login page. Like, oh, cool, you want to see user 7? Great, log in first. So, where and how can I have this be called every single time before any method, before any action is run? Cool? I'm going to run something called before action. If I run this before action inside my application controller, Do I have to do anything else in all my other controllers that, by the way, inherit from application controller to make sure that authorized gets called? Like if I were to hit.
No, I feel like the one thing it will, I feel like if you go to the login page, it'll reload it once.
So check this out. Ready? In my user's controller, right? Will authorize be called before show? Automatically. Will it be called before new? Will it be called before create? Yes. So let's test that. Which is hilarious. You'll see. It's hanging wildly. Interesting. What seems to be happening? Oh, it's not doing it for me. Okay. What should be happening? Wow, it actually refreshed. Interesting. Oh, dang it. Dang it. I forgot to ruin this. Cool. So, this is what's supposed to happen. It breaks, right? Why does it break? Why does it break? Oh, there's no index action. Yeah. Let me hit show then. Yeah. That's frustrating. That user doesn't exist, right? Why is that? So what's happening is, right? I'm sorry, I need before action. Yeah. Before action, find user. Sorry. I don't know why I commented that. I don't have user ID 25. It's 22. Cool. Oh, I didn't save this. Painful. Painful. No. Am I logged in as 22? Is this? Oh, this is no. This is Flavor Town. It's a different person. Flavor Town is different from Flavor Flav. Completely different person. What I'm trying to do is have it basically stuck in this infinite loop where, oh, it's because I'm logged in right now. Yeah. I should do Logout. Yeah, let's do that. Let's delete the cookie. Cool. No, all my cookies. All my cookies. Remember hot dog? Hot dog was great. Cool. So, this is what's happening. And I'll explain here in a little bit, right? Sorry if that was like a little confusing. Localhost redirected you too many times, right? This is what it tried to do. Look at all this get to logins. Get to login, get to login, get to login. Why would it do that? Well, let's take a look at one of them, right? Start get to login, redirected to localhost 3000 login. Great. Redirected 300. So get to login. That's weird. Redirect back to login. So what it's doing is it's expecting me to have logged in to log in. Like I've already should have been logged in to try to even get to my login page, which is like ironic. So I probably want to prevent this authorized from running on a couple of important pages, right? So the first one is in my sessions controller, I can probably do skip before action authorized only on what pages? Is it like this? And then it's an array, right? Only on new and create. Yeah?
Can you do the other way where you ask before action only on certain pages?
Do I want before action only on certain pages? Yes, I can do it your way. And here's the thought process. I would have to put before action authorized on literally every single thing. It's easier for me to make 2 or 3 exceptions than to put before action on like the 99 things I need and then leave before action off on like the 2 I don't want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like every time I make a new method, oh, before action that one too. Make a new method, oh, before action on that one too. Like that would work, but it's not like effective, right? So I want to before action everything except login, right? Basically, if you're not logged in, go to login. So the pages that I want, the exception to that is login. Otherwise, it's going to be like, I need to get to login, but you need to be logged in to see login. Great, go to login, but you need to be logged in to see login. Great, I get that. But you're telling me to go to login. You need to be logged in to see login. That's kind of weird. So I need to like allow login to be seen without being logged in. And that's kind of one of the only ones, really. Right? So if I can skip this before action of authorize only on my new and create, which is my login, right? Then everything should be okay. Any questions? Great. Yep, sweet. Great, let's go check it. See, login works now. I can go to flavor fave, I can put in clock, and I can log right in. Yeah, this picture is so great. I know. It really is. He exists without frosted tips?
Yeah.
No. That's my hero. I'll never tarnish his image. Never. So, what else should we sort of try to do with this information in terms of like protecting our routes? What else can we do? Should I be able to see other users? Should I? I'm logged in, right? As 23. Should I delete squirrel? Are you sure though? Lols. Yes. Got him, coach. Crazy. Right? Should I be able to do that? Probably not. So how can I protect that information? So what was that? That was like in the show? Right? Like user show. Right? So in the user show, wait, where's the delete button?
Oh, maybe it's like show.html.
Yeah, there it is. It's right here. Cool. Oh, this is a different one. Wait, why do I have songs in here? Golly, what is this? Trash. Cool. This is like the delete, right? Are you sure though? Lols. Cool, right? So I probably want to do something like what?
Only show it if the user ID in the session is the same as the user ID of the page.
If the session, you're saying user ID, right, is what? At user? Huh? Dot ID? Did we? No, I don't think we did. Does this make sense to you? No, not slowing me down. Great. So, users 3, right? What's this? Oh, yeah, I put the equal sign on the if statement. Clown. Oh, deleted account. Sorry. Profile page for Gollum? Wow, what is happening? 22. Oh, the delete button's gone. Cool. I think I'll sign in as 24. Great. Flavor Flav. The delete button is there. Nice. Cool. What else? What else should we do? Remember I kind of got trapped where I was like, man, I can't log out. Let me just delete that cookie. This is a terrible user experience, right? So let's create some sort of method that allows me to log out, right? Where would this log out go and what would it do? Wants it on the user page. Cool. So I'm on this user show. Cool. And what do I want to do? Probably like another button here, right? And this is going to be like log out. Can this go back to user? I mean, it can, but it probably wants to be like, if I'm going to log out, I want to show the login page, right? What kind of method is this? Is it a delete? All right. I think it's a delete. Right? I think it's a delete because how did I create this logged in user? All I did was I made the session ID for him, right? So at this point, I'm probably just going to delete the session ID from the session hash, right? Are you, yeah, this one's fine, right? Lols, right? Log out though. Log out, confirmation. Cool. Right? So I have this route. Rather, I have this button pointing to this route. Does this route exist? Cool. It's going to go to /logout. Sessions destroy. Where can I put /logout? So again, button to log out, right? What is this? Just kidding. Log out path, right? It's going to hit this log out delete in my sessions controller. So my sessions controller, I have to have some sort of method called destroy, right? Right here. Very good. Seemed very quick on that one. Surprisingly quick, right? So session with a key of user ID, I can in fact do something like set it to nil. That would effectively get rid of it. Is there another way? Do you want to destroy the entire session? Remember how much information is in there.
Delete the user ID.
How do I do that?
Session.delete.
Yes.
User ID with symbol.
Like this, right? I think it's like this. I think it's like this. Otherwise, I mean, we'll figure it out, right? You could take a hash, you could run a delete method on it, passing it in the key that you want to get rid of. So let's test. Ready? Here I can just open up a new one, go right into IRB. I can put like session equals to a hash, right? Session, let me just blow this up for you. Session with the key of user, right, is equal to chef, it's your boy RD. Cool. Now I can do session.delete with the key of user, and it's gone, and I can check session again, and it's gone. Cool. Oh yeah, that was money. So session.delete with the key of user would effectively get rid of it. Now I need to redirect to the login path. This is where the redirect happens. So let's check to see if that worked. Are there any questions so far? Great. So now the logout works, right? Again, I only want that logout to be there if I am the current user. So logout, logs, Cool. Sends you right to logout. Yeah? So the last thing I want to show you is if this user doesn't really exist, okay, it still breaks, which is kind of crummy, right? So what I want to do is I want to check, right? Where's this code again? Where can I find this code? Sessions controller, right? So my session controller, the create method, I can always check to see if @user exists first, then run all of this code, right? Like I want this to get wrapped up in it. Oops. No. Cool. I want to check to see if the user even exists first, right? I'm sorry. Ugh. What I should do is this. After this user.findBy, if the user exists, then do all this code. Else, I need to pull this back. Actually, it should end here. No, that's weird. Shouldn't end there. This gets kind of like really tricky and really messy to deal with. So what I'm trying to do is I want to find this user. The problem is if I put in junk and the user.findBy doesn't return anything, I want it to not execute any of this code. Does that make sense? Actually, yeah, I needed to do this else kind of like twice, right? If you like follow along that logic. I'm purposely not going to build it because I want it to be like a little confusing and like annoying. Is it? Sure. Just zero response. Anyways, so what I can do is instead of putting like 2 if statements and recreating the else, I could do if @user and user.authenticate do this. Otherwise, do this, right? So I guess the question winds up becoming like, why can I do this, right? Why can I check to see if both of these are true? If we were to go back to the IRB, we can do true and false returns what? False, right? Because both sides of the conditional must be true, right? So I can do true and true. And if both sides of the conditional are true, then I can do what? True, right? So if I were to do true and, right, undeclared, undefined, right? Actually, it doesn't matter, like Wangtron, right? Does Wangtron exist right now? The method Wangtron or the variable Wangtron. Have I ever defined it? No. What is this going to return? Undefined local variable method, right? Here's the thing about Ruby. Ruby, like me, is very lazy. Just super, super lazy. The only reason it even tried to execute Wangtron was because the left side executed true. So if I were to do false and Wangtron, it'll just say false. It'll see false, see that also it needs to check something else. Don't bother, the first one was false. Cool, return false. It doesn't even check the other side because it doesn't need to because the first side was false. So lazy, so lazy. So if the user here is nil or falsy, it never even gets here. Therefore, the user.authenticate will never execute, so it won't say, hey, undefined, like I can't run authenticate on nil, because it never even gets to the second side, right? Small little tweak, refactor, optimization. So here in the create, if user and @user.authenticate. Cool? Great. Okay, now let me just hit login again. All right, put in some trash, put in some high-speed password, right? And nothing. Cool? I can probably put some flash errors in there, if I wanted to, like if the login wasn't good, even like in the beginning. Are there any questions on having this login form, checking the current, yeah, I know it's a lot, right? It's what we did in summary. We made the login form, right? We prevented access to like any different part of the website. We were able to log out by deleting that session, and we were able to successfully check to see who that current user was. Are there any questions on authentication and authorization? Yes?
You know how in the show you like said you can't delete it based on the view? Should you put that in the controller? Because what if you put like /user/23/delete?
Oh,
Still be able to delete it.
like this? /22?
And then /delete.
Oh, I'm sorry. What the? Oh, users. Ugh, embarrassing. Just redirect me right to login.
So even if you're logged in, you can't go to users/22/delete.
Oh, you want me to log in, right? Oh, okay. So Flavor Flav, clock. And you want me to go to what?
And then /delete. 0.
What would this give me? It'd do a GET request, right?
But there's a button on your page to delete an account. What if you just modify the HTML to be user 22 instead of 24 and hit submit?
So you're saying,
Like hack your own delete account button to delete someone else's. Can you do that? Does anything stop you?
we'll find out. Short answer. All right. You're talking about delete, right?
Yeah.
And what do you want me to put in?
Action user/22. 2 lines above where you are.
Like this?
Yeah, that'll let you delete user 22, right?
So when I delete this, what happens? Are you sure? Okay, so let's find user 22. Tricky, right? Cool. So how do we prevent that? Hmm?
The controller would be like you can't delete the current user session.
So this becomes a lot trickier, right? It's not originally part of the lecture, but you know, you don't normally get questions like that. But it's good. All right, the user controller. In my delete, right? First, I should check what? I can always check the session here, right? And just wrap this whole thing in a sweet old if. Actually, this whole thing. Do I need this? Do I want something like this? Do I have something else possibly? Yes, there we go. I have something else here that's already finding the user by the session ID, right? Because otherwise I'd have to do @user as an object, right? That's not really going to make sense with this. I'd have to do like a user.findBy or find with the session ID. But I have something like that already. Current user. Does current user exist in the user's controller?
You have to uncomment line 2 with application controller.
No. Helper methods allow you to use it in the view. Like if I were to uncomment this, I can now use logged in inside the view, and I can use current user inside the view in the HTML. So helper methods allow you to pass methods you've built in into views, whereas instance variables allow you to pass in variables to the view. Cool. So this is like what I would do. I would make sure that even if that post request was sent, I have to still double check that it's the right person. Cool.
Can you change
How would I do that?
I don't know what the session ID looks like as a cookie. No.
Right? It looks like this nebulous hash. As it should, which is why it was like encrypted, right? Rails will help you do that. Very good question. Great, awesome. Now you know auth, and now you can authenticate and authorize at will. And so just be aware of when you're doing the before action and where you should be doing skip before action, because now you can do more custom methods. Think about what you could do now. You can build out like certain things in the application controller to see if that current user has an attribute of admin or other special characters, right? Like junior admin or like full admin or anything like that with extra special privileges. Then you can before action everything and then accept certain things, right? So now you can build even more complex, more specific things, and you can have like a public and a private, and not just like Facebook where no matter what you have to log in, but you can still see certain things if it's just public. Cool? Awesome. Great, thanks.